Welcome to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco, bringing you interviews with industry experts and regular folks who tested the job search waters and succeeded, and strategies to tell your story and land you job interviews in 60 days, guaranteed. Here's your host, Virginia Franco.
Hello, I am delighted to have with me today talent acquisition and career facilitator Elena. She's the founder of the Netherlands-based Melly Consulting and provides hands-on guidance to struggling job seekers, and she also supports professionals in their career development path. Her strategies and expertise come from a 20-year career working in B2B and B2C companies in strategic leadership, coaching and HR roles, and more than 10 years spent living abroad. She is committed to giving clients a practical approach to navigating today's job market and, jumping into new career paths. So, Elena, thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much, Virginia, and glad to be here with you today.
So we met on LinkedIn, which I love that platform because just through a quick conversation, I reached out to Elena, and I was just so intrigued by all of her work abroad, since a lot of people who listen to this are interested in doing, expat and then repatriation assignments. I'd love to know a little bit about how you came to be in this role, what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, I started in being into corporate companies, B2B and B2C, as you were saying before, and I've done it for 20 years. When I became a manager in 2014, my manager told me, well, you need to hire your own team now. And this is what I've been doing since then. And I really, really enjoyed it really much, to the point that in some cases I was more into the HR offices rather than in my own office. And with my last role, at some point I thought, do I really want to be in my manager role and doing data reporting, pricing, you name it, again. Mm-hmm. Well, not again, but more. And The answer was no.
Okay.
So basically what I started to do, I started to pivot into HR roles, into recruiting first. And then I started thinking I want to do something more than the recruiting part. And then that's where I said to myself, well, we've been having meaningful conversation with a lot of people in different places and in different countries and in different roles. And then the coaching thing started to be in my mind more and more. And that's why I don't call myself a coach. I would rather like more facilitator. But yes,
so you're coaching. Yeah. So your HR and recruiting experience, were what sort of roles were you hiring for, and where were these people located?
Okay, so the roles were mainly roles for business intelligence, market intelligence, so more business analytics.
I was going to say data analytics kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, pricing, forecasting, so all these type of roles. I've always been into international companies, mostly American, and then also Japanese as well. Yeah, so it was kind of a very diverse journey, to be honest, and always amongst expats or amongst people coming from different worlds and different environments as well.
And now, are your clients, the clients that you work with now in your own private practice, are they European-based, or where are they, and what kinds of challenges are they facing?
They're more European-based, but I've also been coaching some in US as well.
Okay. So, since you do get to work with clients in the U.S. and in Europe, do you see sort of common career challenges facing your clients? Yeah. So tell me what you're seeing.
Well, what I witnessed is basically, and this is where I did a sort of, let's say, comparison between US and Europe. First of all, it's a very competitive market in both situations. And then that ATS is up and running also here in Europe as is in US.
Yeah.
So the sort of dealing with the CVs and their CVs is quite the same. Also, there is a less, let's say, I would say a less situation into the human part of it. So there is a lot of frustration from my clients because they say, I don't get to talk to a human being.
Yeah, they have that technology barrier that bars them from actually talking and seeing. Yeah.
And they don't understand why. I mean, it's just what's wrong with these people? And I said, that's nothing wrong. I mean, it's just a new technology, and we have to, embrace it, and then see what it is. It's just the technology.
Well, I guess it's reassuring in a way to know that all the problems really are global. Which means the advice is global, right?
Yeah. So it's really a global world, and then I really like the interaction with you guys in the US because at the very end of the day, for me, it's a kind of checking that what we have and the frustrations that we have over here, you also have over there. So it's a little bit, encouraging, frustrating and encouraging.
Yeah, but we're all in this together. And what I find helpful is if you're in Europe and you're trying to target work in the US or vice versa, the same strategies are going to be successful. Yeah. So what do you find that your clients are most surprised by? Given given these challenges.
Yeah, well, the fact that they don't have to put a picture on their resume unless they're working in an industry where it's really, really requested. And they were like, but then they will not know me. I said, are you on LinkedIn? Yes. Did you put a picture on LinkedIn? Yes. Then they will know you. They will know exactly who you are.
What industries do you find that pictures are needed? Because you're right, in the US, you're not allowed because there's a concern that it will foster discrimination.
Yeah, and this is what I'm trying to tell them as much as they can. I mean, if you don't want to be biased in any way, don't put a picture. I would say the TV industry. So that's one.
Oh, sure.
Also, the HoReCa industry. So if you're applying in a hotel or if you're applying for a restaurant and everything which has to do with
like hospitality.
People, yeah, exactly. Hospitality. Then maybe a picture is more convenient to have on your CV. But otherwise, don't. It's just waste of space.
So if I'm in the U.S. and I want to target working for, I'm just trying to think like Marriott Corporation. Because they're a U.S.-based company, do you recommend taking the picture off, even though you might be trying to target a role in, in Amsterdam or, in Paris, some city over there?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, so sort of follow where the company is headquartered and follow the procedures from there.
Yeah. Even if the company is American or whatever.
And I would imagine the same applies is I have seen CVs, European CVs, where they include the date of birth as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that in the U.S. you're not supposed to put on there. Which is, it's so ironic because you have to put it on the application anyway, but at least on the resume, it's not supposed to be on there. Again, to mitigate discrimination. That's so interesting about the pictures. So I know, you're sort of shifting gears here. I know what drives me most crazy when, I sort of see people making the same mistakes over and over again. What would you say drives you the most nuts when it comes to job seeker mishaps?
the fact that what I usually base my sessions on is just I give them really hands-on techniques on how to revamp their CVs, and they're really, really simple. They come up with a sort of a formula because it's easily understandable to anyone, either if you like math or not. And then they go home and they don't end up.
They ignore it.
They don't do it. Yeah, they ignore it, and they treat their CV like a grocery list. And I really do tell them, why do you want to have a CV treated like a grocery list? You're not shopping in the supermarket.
So what do you mean by it looking like a grocery list?
Sorry, say it again.
Explain a little bit more. What do you mean that the resume looks like a grocery list? I love it, but I've never heard that analogy before. So explain it to me.
Oh, like responsible for developing a contract, or responsible for a report in forecasting. I mean, think about it. You are responsible, and that's super good, but your report does something. Yeah? What is the accomplishment of that?
Yeah.
And then so I tell them, okay, forget the responsible, go into Google any type of synonym about responsible, and put a different word. I put it into context. So what I tell them is that don't tell, show. And that won't be a grocery list anymore. If you say that you're responsible for, well, not responsible, but in this case, you were handling these reports and maybe you increase the automation by 20%. So this means that this report was, first of all, more correct, and second of all, more easy to do on a monthly basis. And it gives you the time to do the inside of the report. So don't be a monkey business just with the data.
That makes perfect sense. You're showing the results versus what you do day in and day out.
Yes, exactly. Show the result of what, and they just, some of them just really look at me and they say, what kind of result? I was just responsible for the report. Yes. Think again. And that's the frustration. And, it's a sort of a loop. And then I start making more, in that case, I start making more examples.
Right. No, and it's hard to sort of think through the impact of what you do, but that's what they want to see. So I imagine when you see a CV where the word responsible for is on there, you go crazy. Sounds like that is what drives you the most nuts.
Yeah, it's a lot. Oh my God, the grocery list again.
That's so funny. Oh, I like that. I like calling it. I might borrow that. I like the name, the grocery list term. How is the approach different if your heart's not in it versus I don't like my manager?
Well, if it's a situation of I don't like my manager, then the answer is start to look for another job. Yeah,
right.
It might be the easy one, but still, or try to change your manager in a way that you try to change your department if you don't want to lose that job. I mean, there are some actions that you can do. If it's a career move, then the first thing to do is try to talk to the people who are already doing that type of job, and see if what are the struggles, what they're happy about, and then see what you need to do in order to bridge from your current career to the new career move. It's not easy, and you need to make a plan. You need to have a good plan outlined. You need to know what your niche is. It's going to be there are some countries, and in the Netherlands where I'm in right now, it's quite often that they work in silos. So the first reactions might be, you want to do what? You're applying for this job, but you have no experience. So the no experience is something that here is very, very, something that they really care about. If you're not coming from that specific environment, but from a different one, then, and you have no experience in that, or even if you have a little bit of experience in that, then that might be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I would say in the U.S., those big career changes without experience, it's definitely more work, and you have to bypass applying online. But when you have the right documents and you make the right case showing how your experience is transferable, there are people that are willing to take a risk on you. It's not easy.
No.
It sounds like it might be even harder though in Europe to do that.
A bit, yeah.
And I really like your point about asking yourself why are you moving? Because if you're tired of your manager, then maybe you don't need to do a whole career change. Maybe it's just doing the same role, but in a different company where there's a different kind of a culture. So really doing some deep searching, investigating is wise. So what about that person? And this is what I get, people that they didn't come to me before they were getting started on their job search. And now they came to me and said, I've been trying and things aren't going well. How do you recommend they figure out what's going wrong and to proceed forward?
Well, the first thing is your resume compliant with the latest job market requests, basically.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. And then if that's the case, and also they have a killer LinkedIn headline and a very nice cover letter, then you need to go one level deeper and see, okay, you need to go into the networking strategy, and it doesn't have to be just going into events, because there are some people who are not that social in order to go to these social events, but you need to reach out to the companies that you would like to apply for in a different way. Engage with your job seeker peers as well, and see if they have the same struggles. Maybe sometimes they do have different ideas. And if it still does not work, just seek the advice of a professional.
Yeah.
So still there are some,
And what I'm hearing, you have to have the right career marketing collateral. You're right, resume, LinkedIn, cover letter. But that's just part of the equation, the networking piece. It's hard to do. What I hear you saying is it's hard to do this by yourself. You do need to have others to talk to bounce ideas off of, support each other. And if you can't find people to help you with that for free, then you might have to, work with a professional to guide you on this. But it's like either way, don't do this alone.
No, exactly, because it's a lot frustrating.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard, especially if you go through the online application and then you have a nice email saying, "Oh, thank you very much for applying," and then maybe on a Saturday at 10 o'clock p.m. you receive another email saying, "Oh, well, we've got somebody else's with a better resume or more keen to the role," and it's Saturday 10 p.m. and who's sending me this again?
Yeah.
How are they at work?
Right, and then sometimes you don't even hear at all. It goes. You apply and then you hear nothing. That's it's just as bad.
Oh, that's a different story.
That's a different story. You're right. So the next question I want to ask you, something that I face all the time working with people that want a new job, but they are eager to sort of explore everything. They have lots of different kinds of skills and could really go in a number of different directions. What advice do you give them in terms of getting started on their job search?
If you're going into different directions, I would say, are you really going in different directions? Meaning that it is something that it cannot be in 2 different ways or 3 different ways. It can be in terms of industry. For example, if you are head of finance, it does not really matter if you work for a company who deals in diamonds, or if that company sells bananas. Yeah?
Right.
Because in that case, it's similar. But you cannot really be an expert in, data mining, and then also an expert in quality.
Right.
Because
right. Sort of that the job function that's where it is tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do see people, especially postgraduates, that they have this, what I call the soup resume or the soup CV. So they put everything in there because they say, I don't want to miss a chance. And they have a little bit of, anxiety. And then I said, what do you really want? Who do you want to become? Yeah, that's a tough question. And by the way, it's not even mine. It's from Epictetus.
Okay.
But it is really, who do you want to become? I will share with you something that somebody said to me a while ago. This person told me, if I look it up in your CV on LinkedIn right away, will it show me the path to the job that you would like to have? And that's the best piece of advice that I can give to the people. Is it showing me the path? Is your CV showing the path? And who do you want to become? It doesn't matter at this point if you need to have a career change or it is the same job. But if you do have a dual situation or a triple thinking in three different directions, just choose the one that you really like the most.
And then you're right, because then the experience or your background has to show how that is a linear path versus unorganized. You're right. People, it's certainly people that are right out of university because they sometimes what they study is not aligned with what they want to do next. But people are afraid to limit their options. So let me just put everything on there. But people, when we are reading, we want to understand right away how this makes sense. Because people don't take the time. I do feel, I've been writing resumes for 30 years, 25 years. And back then you could sort of put a little bit of everything. I felt like people spent a little bit more time on them than they do now. So maybe that's why things got to be more targeted now, because the attention span is so much less. I don't know. Yeah.
And if you think that the average amount of time that recruiters, when you get to have a human eye behind it, which is spent on the resume, is 6 seconds.
6 seconds. It's nothing. I know. Yeah. If you know the recruiter, I think you get a little bit more. But if they're just someone that's a complete stranger, it's a blip. Yeah. So the next question I want to tackle is something that's big in the U.S. Curious to hear what it looks like over there. Discrimination around hiring practice. There's age, there's gender, there's ethnicity, all of that. Is that something that your clients face, and how do you advise them?
Yeah, a lot. Here in the Netherlands, you cannot ask the age, even on your interview, and that's why I usually say do not put the age in your resume. They will do the math anyway between when you graduate and when you started working and how many years you worked. So they will do it anyway, but don't put the age there. In some cases, the ethnicity is a kind of bias, and they need to be aware. Yeah, they need to be aware. In some cases, I also had clients who changed their name into more, let's say, easy names, because that would have been more. They would have more chances.
There was just a big conversation on Twitter like 3 days ago where a recruiter was talking about that he was advising people to change their name to make them more Western sounding to try to get more interviews. And he was curious, he was just trying to gain people's opinions on that. Is that something that you have advised people to do, to sort of Westernize their name?
In some cases, not all the cases. And then it really depends. It really goes down to the human part of it. Yeah. You really need to ask yourself as a recruiter, you need to be, first of all, be aware of your biases, because everyone has it, even if we don't want them, but it's human. So I really try to put on my objective cap and get rid of the biases. And to me, it's just like, can the candidate do the job? Can they fit within the team? Can they fit within the company? And for me, even if sometimes I do not click with the candidate, which is natural, you don't have to like everyone. It's you need to remember that you're serving the company and the candidate, not yourself.
Yeah.
At the very end of the day.
Well, and I've not had clients need to change their names, but I do try to do whatever I can in terms of creating the resume for them or the LinkedIn language for them that focuses on the what you're talking about, the candidate fit, the college. It sort of makes the other stuff more compelling, so that the reader doesn't start going down I call it a rabbit hole of saying, well, I wonder how old this person is. So I don't put dates on university, and I only put dates to the last 15 years. I'll include the earlier experience, but I don't put dates to it to try to minimize that a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that something that works over there? Do you know?
Yes. What I usually say to clients who do have a lot of experience, something like 35-year experience, just scratch out some of them.
Yeah, minimum. Yeah,
I mean, If the talent acquisition team or the hiring manager will go and have a look at your LinkedIn, they will see who you are anyway.
That's exactly right. They're going to look at your picture. They're going to know all of that.
If not even Facebook or something else.
Right. You're right. No, it's true. It's true. And I also go back to, well, do you want to work for a company where that kind of bias goes on?
Exactly.
In which case, show them, make sure your LinkedIn shows make sure to have a picture on your LinkedIn. Call it out so that they see it. Yeah. Talking about being aware of our biases. Some people, it's not realistic. Everyone has biases. I think all we can do is try our best to be, as you said, put on your objective cap.
Yeah.
And be aware of them. I agree. So shifting gears a little bit. Let's say someone comes to you and says, okay, Elena, I've got 5 minutes with you. What are 2 things that I absolutely need to go ahead and start job hunting? What would you say?
In terms of platforms or places or
anything. Yeah. What are 2 things that a person absolutely needs to successfully land a job today?
Okay, no grocery list. That's the first thing. Be consistent. Look also not only into LinkedIn, but the local job search platform, because there are some.
You mean in terms of looking for jobs, look at local stuff as well as LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay.
In some cases, you will see them duplicated. But in some other cases, because the recruiters over here, for example, in the Netherlands, they do have accesses to the local job search platform, and they do also look for candidates from there as well. Okay. Yeah.
Back when you were recruiting, what did you use to find candidates?
Yeah, it's basically, here I can talk here for here in the Netherlands. One is Monster Board, and the other one is Indeed, with the extension of NL. So I really encourage the candidates to put their CVs over there and have a space over there as well.
Okay, no, that's really good advice. So my favorite question to close out our conversation.
Yeah.
You have a thriving practice. What is next for you?
I'm looking forward to expand this consultancy agency, taking on one side more on board more job seekers and professionals who are struggling with their career. So it's just not the job seekers, but also the career development path. I'd like to explore, and I'm eager to collaborate with companies in terms of coaching mostly and recruiting. Yeah, so this is what's in for me for at least the next 6 months.
That's exciting, but it'll keep you understanding what it's like on both sides of the hiring table. Yeah.
To me, it's crucial to have a good, let's say, overview on what's going on from the hiring perspective. And then never stop looking for new ways to revamp your resume and revamp your CV.
I love that. Well, Elena, thank you so much for joining me, and it was an absolute pleasure. I learned several new things. And thank you for sharing what it's like recruiting and job searching in the Netherlands. Because while there are some similarities, there's some differences, and I think that's important for people to understand.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Virginia. It was really a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco. To learn more about storytelling strategies to catch the eye of today's skim online readers, hiring and decision makers, go to www.virginiafrancoresumes.com.